Hey guys, welcome back to Full Package RC. We are here tonight. You're graced with just the three of us here tonight. No guest. We're going to do our best to entertain you and do some BSing on multiple topics. So I'm Bob, joined tonight with Mike.
Hey.
And Aaron.
What's up?
So we're going to got a whole variety of good things to go over tonight. But I guess we'll just kind of start off by doing a little bit of a round table because I think we kind of skipped this a little bit last time because we had a lot to go over with Bert on the last show. But just trying to catch up to see what's new, what's been going on, day-to-day life. I don't know, Aaron, what do you have going on?
We're still kind of in that winter mode, so if I'm not doing anything real drift related, still kind of same story with the RC drifting. I have in the past, since the last podcast, I've been doing a lot of competitions in the sim drifting world, and I've really kind of delved down that. So I bought a full VR now for sim drifting. I know you can use it for a lot of like flight simulators too. I can't wait to try it for that. But I've really kind of dived down this rabbit hole of competitive sim drifting, and it's been a shit ton of fun. I've been doing that. Really, that takes up a lot of my time when I'm not either RC drifting or working on the real drift car. That's about it. Just still drifting. What about you, Mike?
I haven't been doing a whole lot. I don't know if you guys seen that Facebook group that popped up about the heli raffles and giveaways.
Yeah.
So I did get in on a couple of those, and I can say that I am now the proud owner of 3 Gooski RS2s.
Jeez.
Or not RS2s, S2s, or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
So I owned one previously. Yeah, I owned one previously, and they had one up for raffle, and we're having trouble selling tickets and stuff. I'm like, what the hell? I'll buy a couple. And I think I bought one or two. I can't remember, 1 or 2 spots. I ended up winning it. I'm like, oh sweet. And then I seen they put another one up, and same thing. Nobody was buying tickets. They were like, oh, hey guys, let's get this done. And I'm like, all right, I'll buy 1 ticket, the same number I won with last time. If it's available, I'll buy it. And it was, so I bought it, and I ended up winning the second one with the same number. So that was kind of cool. So we'll have some S2s to play around with this year.
Guys are probably like, it's rigged. Mike keeps winning.
Yeah, that's probably what's going on. It did slow down after that. I don't know. I haven't seen any new ones pop up.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on that site for a while come up.
Yeah, I think there's a Puma on there right now that Mike Lawrence is trying to raffle off to get rid of.
I did see that. Yeah, I think that's been on for a little bit now, right?
Yeah, it seems. I would have thought that one would have went pretty quick. Seems like it's sitting there for a little while, maybe.
Yeah.
Mike's gonna get a box of 3 bricks instead of 3 helis.
No, I already got them.
Oh, you got them? Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they're here. The last one that I won, it took just, I would say, a day short of a full month to get here.
Wow.
And he shipped it like 2-day priority, and USPS lost it twice.
Yep,
they lost it
right.
once, found it somehow, ended up finding it in Indiana or some shit like that. Shipped it all the way back into New York, which is where the guy that I won it from is from. And then they started shipping it back over here again, and then I think it was in Pittsburgh or something. It got lost again, and the poor guy felt so bad. He's like, oh man, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna go to the post office today after work. I'm gonna give him hell or whatever. I'm like, it's if it shows up, it shows up. It's not that big of a deal, It was like a $20 raffle ticket. It's not. If it gets lost, I already have 2 of them. It's it's not a big deal. And he was pretty persistent though. He went down there and was giving me updates all the time, and it ended up showing up almost a month later. I couldn't believe it actually showed up in one piece too.
Not all smashed up. That's nice.
Like, wow. Yeah, it didn't even look like a football.
Wow.
At least he got him.
Yeah.
So
what's new with you, Bob?
Well,
that
before we go there, I got
Bob.
a couple follow-up questions for both of you. So
okay. I'm
not enough with the Goose Guy. Is that the RS2? What size is that one? That's not the real little one, right?
It's the S2. So there's the S1, which is like, I would say closer to like the Nano CPX size.
Okay.
Or the MCPX size. And then the S2 is the next size up. I think it would be, I would say an in-between of like an Oxy 3 and an Oxy 2. A little bit smaller than an Oxy 3.
Okay.
If you remember those. If you remember the size of the Oxy 3s?
Vaguely. Compared to like the OMP M2. Smaller.
It's about, I know you guys are Horizon guys, so I'm trying to think of a Horizon. It's like a 230 size.
Former.
Okay.
Chill with that.
Well, I mean, yeah, but he knows what size that he sells them all the time too. So,
Well,
Yeah,
not really. I don't sell shit.
used to.
but it would the S2 is more like a 230 size, but it's a
Okay.
much well, it's the same as the M2. You guys have those.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about the OMPM too,
Yeah,
compared to
same
that one.
exact heli, basically. It's
Yeah.
just this
Okay.
guy's version.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. So it's a nice, small enough heli, easy to pack, beat the shit out of it, and if it crashes, just pull out another one.
Oh yeah,
So you're
yeah,
good
and
to
every
go.
one that I won came with a bag of parts too. So
Nice.
I'm good for quite a while.
That's
Oh, we're
cool.
gonna need that next to see you.
Hell yeah!
You know how I am with those little guys.
Yeah.
I think since you guys rented a camper, I own my camper, so we're not going to do it in mine. But since you guys are renting one, I think we should do a throwdown inside the camper with those.
Oh, we
In
could bring
in
back
your
like a
camper?
classic from my channel. We used to do like
What
the
do you think?
hotel throwdowns, the pool throwdowns. We could do an RV throwdown.
Wait, and you're gonna do it in your camper?
No, we're going to do it in the rented camper that you
No,
guys rented.
no.
What do you mean no? I'll
You
help out with the deposit.
you mean at Urcha?
Yeah,
No, because this guy, it's a brand new camper. I ain't doing that.
yeah, perfect. It's under warranty.
No,
We could blade scrape the bed.
no. I don't think so. I don't want to wreck it for other
Pair of
years.
flips in the shower.
The guy I'm renting from is a pretty cool dude, so I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, but he'll think you're a pretty cool dude when you send a video and we don't destroy it.
No,
Like I said, when we're doing TikToks in the shower, he'll be like, "Those guys are fucking badass."
Hell yeah.
he won't have a clue what
10%
TikTok
off
is.
next year.
So we'll do it in your camper since you own it. Then it's not a big deal.
Well, no, because then I got to live with it.
Well, yeah,
You
that's
guys
the
just
idea.
you turn it back in and you don't have to worry about it
It's
anymore.
memories. Anyway, okay.
Memories.
So- My follow-up question to you, Aaron, then is on the sim stuff. So how long, since you're doing all the sim racing, how long till you get like a proper sim rig, like with a race seat, that type of a sim rig? I know you got a pretty good setup already, but
I have a decent setup. I'll be honest, for the drifting, I do. I almost prefer. It sounds counterproductive, but I prefer. So anyone in the sim racing world, I know Mike is gonna hate me for this. So for racing, obviously direct drive is the way to go. For drifting, I'm not a fan of the direct drive wheel setup, so I prefer honestly actually like a cheap Logitech G29. So honestly, I'm not gonna upgrade my wheel setup. It feels very similar to my current drift car, where
That's
it's
blasphemy.
well, reason I say that is for for your iRacing, for grip racing, for like your Porsche Cups, your Miata Cups, a lot of that stuff. You want that road feel, you want that realistic, that snappy road feel. I like for the drifting aspect of if you drive 130 horsepower Miata, you drive 150 horsepower 8.6, you drive I mean my SC is only 300 horsepower. You drive something 300 horsepower and under. Anyone who drifts, when you're gripped up, you have to throw the car. You have to be very aggressive. The problem with direct drive wheels for me is and I've talked to many people in the drifting world kind of about this. It's no steering input and a lot of throttle. You can take a low horsepower car and essentially kind of be hands off on the wheel. I like that kind of low power steering feel, high grip. You have to flick it and absolutely throw the car. So that's really, really why honestly, I hate to say it, I prefer for the drifting stuff a lower end wheel because it feels more accurate to like a lower horsepower Miata, a lower horsepower car. So on the direct drive stuff, I'm good for now.
okay. But I just meant like getting a race seat and getting you into different positioning, like with one of those.
Like a cockpit, a
yeah,
rig.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, any of the cockpits I've looked at are honestly kind of cheesy looking. I've seen a couple. Oh my God, what is it? Not Sim Magic. Shit, there's a cheaper brand out there that makes some. For my current setup, I don't really like the wheel or the cockpit setup. Just like using my chair in the VR. Still on a budget sim setup, so
Okay.
I don't have the crazy mic money.
I just know because
Yeah.
that's where you see all the the big thing I've seen a lot with drifting is the people who are doing it. They can just literally get hundreds and hundreds of hours of drifting. Compared to back in the day when you went out on the track, you might have gotten 3 hours of drifting at best if you didn't break down or travel and all that other stuff. So it's like
Oh, I
a huge
mean, so
advantage.
like on a Assetto Corsa, I'm sure there's some people who sim drift or do some sort of sim something. I have like over 1,100 hours on a Assetto Corsa. That's the course of about 2.5, 3 years. A sim is a hell of a lot better than like one track day because I mean even a drift event, say a final bout, you go for a team tandem day, you might only get 4, 5, 6 runs. So all in all, maybe an hour or two worth of driving. So I much prefer the sim. and much prefer the cheaper stuff for the sim drifting.
Nice.
So
Cool. Okay. I think that's it for my follow-ups.
good follow
But
up.
yeah.
I tried the sim drifting thing. I can't do it.
Oh, come on.
It's a lot. You have to push through. Honestly, the first probably 50 to 80 hours, you're just spinning, you're struggling. You have to
Yeah,
break
it's
through that like
way too easy to over control it.
it is. And that's why personally on the direct drive stuff, it just doesn't feel like a real car. You know, if you're
Yeah.
trying to replicate a Formula Drift car, if you're trying to replicate a 600 or 700 horsepower S13, sure the direct drive stuff is great. But I mean, I know everyone listening has driven 150 horsepower Miata or 150 horsepower something. And those are my favorite kind of cars to drift, is just a low horsepower style car. So that shit is the best.
Cool. More grassroots type stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
So for me, not much new. I've still been just really hitting the RC drifting. Kind of getting that bug a little more than what I even had before, if I can. I've hit the track in Delaware a few extra times. They have a new layout. Just kind of pushing, learning tune-ups and learning setups more. So learning that how to fine tune, how to tweak it, get everything I can out of it. But also did get another car. Kit's about 80% built. Going to try to go a little different way with motor ESC, completely different build than what I have, and we're going to experiment and see what that does. So another Yokomo car because I kind of dig those. But as weather's changing, I think I'll be what's the word I'm looking for?
Transitioning.
Yeah, thank you. That's it. Yeah. So sorry, folks. I'm transitioning, I guess. But
I knew it.
yeah,
I knew it.
There it is. I'm coming out. I'm going to be transitioning over to the helis and getting back into that a little more. As of recording this, we're about 3 weeks out from the spring fling, and I've gotten out to the field once or twice, but I have a couple helis. I got to just do some general maintenance, go over them, make sure they're going to be good to go. Not that I fly a lot at events, but I want to make sure, hopefully no issues when I get there. So plan on being at that event and having some fun.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What are your heli fleet plans for the year? Just kind of keep what you got going on.
Yeah.
You plan on downsizing, maybe picking something new up, or
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I honestly don't know. I would say for this year, I would say probably at least keeping what I have. Potentially downsizing. That would be depending what I have. If someone would really want it, everything's for sale for a price, I guess you could say. But I don't know. Some of the older helis I have that I would potentially sell aren't worth enough for me to sell them to make it worth my while at all. So they're going to become more art or decoration, I guess, and remembrance of what we used to do with them. But yeah, I'm not going to make the fleet any bigger at all. I got enough for now.
Okay. I don't blame you. You got plenty.
Yeah.
You have more than enough to fly.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You have the most out of the group, I'm pretty sure.
In count wise, you mean, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just sitting here looking. Let's see. I can do a quick. I got about 20 right now.
Oh yeah, you definitely.
Yeah.
I might have 7.
Some of them are, now
counting the little ones.
That's just it. Looking at them, I got a couple. I got 2 old Blade 450 3Ds, a 500 3D, an old Blade SR, a Blade CP.
Some real old shit.
Yeah, but I mean, and then the flip side, I still have my Goblin 570, which I gotta say, honestly, Aaron probably agrees too. Probably one of my best helis.
Yes, yeah. I wish they still made those.
That heli just kicks ass. It's fun to fly. You can fly it smooth and easy, or you can just beat the ever-loving shit out of it, and it does it great. But I have
ideally, that's ideally like the perfect heli. That's what I'd want to get into because I still need I really want for like this upcoming year, even though I don't get out to a ton of the events, like a designated like night flying machine. Because I got the nastiest FOMO at IRCHA this past year, not having anything, not really having anything I wanted to sacrifice for a night flight the way my night flights typically go. So if I can get something between like that 500 and 600 size as like a night beater, preferably probably like a Goblin, I'll definitely be getting something like that this upcoming year.
I told you at IRCHA to take out the 570 and hammer away on it.
Well, I was already heavily inebriated.
I know.
I could not.
I knew what was probably going to happen, but it would have been, it almost would have been worth it.
I wasn't going to go out on the flight line in that condition, but this upcoming year, I definitely plan on doing more night flights. Like, fun SmackDown style, not this bullshit where you're flying 20 feet in the air and you can barely fucking see the helicopter.
Yeah,
We're bringing back OG night flying this year, baby.
there you go. Down on the deck shit. Nice.
Hell
So,
yeah.
kind of, okay, obviously, I have a bunch of helis, and we all said everybody has multiples. So that kind of brings me to the next, or I guess our first topic, really. What do you do, or do you do anything to your helis to personalize them, to add your own flair? Because obviously, we all know we were just talking about a Goblin 570. Depending which edition it is, they're all going to look the same. So do you do anything to make it look different so the other 5, 10 people that are there don't have the same looking heli? What do you guys do?
I do have a personal touch to mine
Okay.
that typically people in this hobby don't have.
And what's that?
I really don't care what the wiring looks like.
Okay.
Most people like are super meticulous. I just kind of strap it down where it's not going to catch anything, and then it makes it easy for when it hits the ground. Not if it hits the ground, but when it hits the ground. I just cut like 1 or 2 ties and it all falls out. Works out great.
All right.
Fair enough.
That's one way. But that's not
It's like
something
having a
you can
zipper
see.
for your jacket. It just makes sense.
But what would you do to it to make it look different when it's sitting on the table, flying in the air, for somebody to look at it and go ooh ah, or they're just gonna be like, who is that flying? I don't know. It looks like, is it one of 10 people flying? Who is it?
Oh, well, if mine's sitting on the table, they're going to go, yeah, that's his because the canopy's all mashed up.
And the wiring's
It's all
hanging out of
zip
it.
tied and
And it's got one zip tie holding all the wires
Right.
together.
You're a bonehead.
But no, I like, in a serious note, I never really got into like the bling aspect. That was pretty popular back in the day. Remember, you could buy like different color anodizing washers, and like the micro helis were really big on it. The
Oh yeah.
MCPX and the Blade 180 and stuff. You can pimp them out.
yeah.
All the micro heli stuff. But yeah, I never really got into that. I never got into like the accent washers and stuff for the frame sides, and
Like custom canopies or anything like that?
I did get a custom canopy one time, and the only reason I did was because I liked the way that I can't remember what it was for a Goblin too. But I had the Goblin Nitro, and they didn't make the orange and black like camo looking canopy. I
Mhm.
forget what they called it. But they didn't make that for the Nitro, and I wanted it on my Nitro, so I had to custom order it.
Okay.
So, but I will buy a different canopy if I see one that I think looks better than what it came with. I'll pick it up and put it on there once I need to replace the canopy, but I don't typically like customize anything, I guess.
We need to get you some full package stickers to put on there or something.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I do stick some stickers on there, but I'm more into like I like collecting stickers on my Nitro starter. Is like
Okay.
covered in stickers. So usually anytime I get a sticker, it either goes on there or it goes on my transmitter case before it'll go on the heli.
Well, we're going to start a new trend. If anybody sees Mike at a fun fly, I want you to take your decal and sticker slap one of his helis without him knowing it. Just
There
put
you
it
go.
on there.
I don't mind.
I say go for it. We'll see how many people can do it.
Don't tell him. Yeah, just slap him on as you're walking by.
Yeah.
As you're
Yeah.
walking
So I
in the
mean,
flight
don't tell
line.
him. Just let him, find it. It'll be a fun little game.
So one of my buddies at our local field found these penis stickers. He calls them dickers. They're like little tiny ones. They
Yeah.
got like hands and a smiley, like they look like they're smiling, like they're happy and all this stuff. It's pretty funny. But he goes around and he sticks them on people's stuff when they're not paying attention.
I did
Oh,
that.
I know.
And-
If you're at an event, check your gas cap. Because I know you're talking. Didn't he get Matt at the Fun Fly at the Ohio Fun Fly when we were all there?
He might have.
I
But
think he
he-
put it. He opened Matt's gas lid and he put it in there for whenever he got gas. That way he had a little
That's
dick
funny.
sticker.
That's funny. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I had I was washing my car the one time and I noticed that there was one on my license plate, and the Ohio license plate has like a sunrise, like the sun rays are coming out, and he put it right in the middle so it looked like it was like glowing. It was pretty funny. I don't know how long it was on there, but I noticed it sitting on my license plate. I started cracking up.
That's pretty good.
So something that kind of stuck out when you said it, Mike. It reminded me when you were saying about the MCPX and micro heli with all the metal parts and all the metal bling. When you were saying that shit is like the equivalent of going to AutoZone and just buying all the chrome for your Honda Civic. That is that shit killed me because people thought it was style, people thought it was blingy, people thought it was cool, and typically they were lower quality parts, and B, it really didn't look that good. honestly, even when they were all done.
A lot of them made the helis fly like shit too.
Yeah, I mean, I've always gone for, the unique canopy. I remember what was it, Canamod. I don't even know if they're still around. Used to get canopies pretty often from them. Oh my God, what was the other company that did really really cool? Fasuno?
Yeah,
Am
yep.
I Fasuno? Holy shit, I haven't. I
Wow,
pulled
you're
that one out
good.
of nowhere. I remember Fasuno made some really really cool canopies for like the Align shit back in the day. That was like my favorite era. Because I think nowadays it's a lot harder to personalize a heli than it was when we were getting into it.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
remember getting into it, looking at my TRX 500. You could go on Canamod's website, and there was probably fucking 30 designs. You could go on Fasuno. There was probably 40, 50 different canopies. Not only different colorways, but different styles,
Yeah,
like different shapes. I mean, you could really, really, really personalize a helicopter back in the day. And if they didn't have a canopy you wanted, you could get one customized. So we went with Canamod when I flew for Horizon Hobby, and they did a really cool carbon fiber foam case matching my canopy. And there was like a Horizon team body for my or team canopy for my Thunder Tiger E700.
yep.
And
That was pretty cool.
that was probably as cool as we got as personalizing, because that was like a team heli. It had the Horizon everything on it, had my name, had the heli name. It was a really really cool body. And I wish they did more of that, because anymore, SAB I think has a lot of options as far as styling, as far as making something your own. However, 9 times out of 10, when you go to an event, even if you have one of the more unique goblins, there's still going to be a couple at the event. So I definitely miss the days of Fasuno and Canamod. That I think anymore personalizing a heli is almost. So I'm going to argue your point here a little, Mike. Being you can't customize your heli as much, I think, I believe, as you used to in the day. I think now the current personalization is how clean can you make your heli look. And that's one thing I give you, Dad, is like your wiring has always been fucking amazing. Anytime I've crashed, everything's easy to trace, everything's easy to just work on. And I get really, really like, impressed by someone who can just do clean wiring. Did you put it together and it looks like you spent 5 minutes on it, or did you coil the wires? Are they in wire loom? Are they everything going back to one spot? It doesn't look like a rat's nest. I never used to appreciate that stuff until I got older, honestly, because it's just easier to work on. So I think more in today's world of the customization and personalization is how clean is your setup. Because too many times we get to these events where we see guys like, no, nothing is wire tied, nothing is ran properly. And then these guys have nothing but issues. And typically it's wiring issues. So take care of your shit. Definitely put function over form for the helicopter first. Then worry about your styling.
Sounds like he's knocking on you a little bit there, Mike. I don't know.
I didn't. No,
I
no, no.
mean,
I'm not knocking Mike.
I'll
I
take the
just,
compliment. I appreciated that, the compliment, but it's a little backhanded at Mike, like, you know,
no, I'm not saying Mike's helis
keep your
aren't
wiring
clean.
clean,
Listen,
shithead.
Mike and I both crash a lot, so I understand Mike's viewpoint on it. I understand.
So don't crash so much.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
See what happens?
These damn kids, I tell you.
You bring him out to your field, you treat him nice, and then look at what he does to you, huh?
Yep.
So,
Hey,
like,
it's the same as like when you're building a drift car. You can build a drift missile with the intent of knowing you're going to crash it, and it is what it is. It's an ugly missile, and it's always going to be ugly. Or you can build a fucking sweet looking car. You're still going to crash it. You just got to make it look good every time. It's
Now,
the better looking ones always win.
so
now my helis are ugly too, Bob. You believe this
I
shit?
know, right? I know. So for me, the
I didn't say
customizing,
ugly.
I used to do more like Aaron was just saying, with Canemon and Fasuno. I used to like to do those to be different because I don't like having a cookie cutter type setup. So like even for instance on my Steam heli, the tail fin, I just got a different color vinyl on something I hadn't seen and put it on there. Even just a couple small decals, on the canopy itself, just to make it look a little different, since you can't get good crazy custom stuff as much anymore. I know there are a few, but it's still the same canopy you're going to get for other people. But yeah, I mean, it is harder and harder to customize stuff anymore. It's at least in the heli world anyway. When it comes to cars, you can pretty much, the sky's the limit. You might be able to get the same BMW or 370Z or Mustang body that someone else has, but it's going to be a different color, different pinstripes, different everything. and look like a totally different car. So cars can be pretty easy to customize versus, the heli world for sure.
One thing I noticed, especially for like the customizing portion, that's completely different from any of the cars versus helicopters. Almost all the heli events you go to now, people have radio wraps, people have some form of skin. There's several people and companies out there that do it, and they all do them well. For the especially the drift cars or any RC car, people are not as into like the radio skins. And that's another really cool way to kind of personalize your heli. I had at one point still have the skin on my DX18, but I had that matching to a canopy I had at one point, and that is awesome. And that's something going around to a lot of the RC drift events I don't see. People have these really really badass several $100 bodies, several $100 paint job, but then just a plain looking radio. So
Yeah.
I that's still another cool way to kind of personalize and add your own little touch to it.
Part of that is finding someone to be able to do it with a quality wrap too,
Right.
and
Yeah.
somebody with the ability and the equipment to do that. It can be tough to find. I know
It is.
that
It's
can be.
definitely more of a niche world for that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That would be hard to do on a, I think, anyways, on a like a car radio. It's not as much flat surface. You know what I mean? Like a heli or a plane transmitter.
I
You
don't
got the
know.
big flat surfaces.
I think the car radios could probably just be as easy, just more multi pieces. Because I think
Oh,
they're
yeah, I
really
guess
just a
that's
lot
right.
more flat surfaces. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the company name back in the day that used to do it.
Upgrade.
Yes, thank you. Wow, you're on it tonight.
I remember the weird shit.
I tell
Man,
you,
he is on it tonight.
man, you
I
get a
remember all
gold star.
the old shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely get the gold star for tonight. But Upgrade
Remembered all my
RC,
ugly helis too.
Upgrade RC used to make that some wraps for radios. I had one for an old Futaba 3PK. I'd love to find one for the DX5R for the Spectrum I use, because that would be definitely pretty cool. But no luck yet, and haven't been able to find anything. So maybe one day we'll find something.
How is that radio, by the way?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that radio
Worthy
because you can
upgrade.
hold it and you can customize. They can do the drop wheel, customize the angle of the wheel. You can just make it really comfortable. So the only two things, if I had to critique on the whole radio, is the battery life is definitely a lot less than some of the other radios I've had. It's not horrible, but it's definitely eats through them a little quicker. And the other one is, instead of just being a regular battery door to open up, you actually need to use a 1.5 millimeter to take two screws out to get to the batteries. So if you're not prepared and the batteries die, that could suck.
Now, are they still set up for like AA batteries, or do they have packs that you could put
You
in
can
there?
do either. I can do double A's, or I could put a rechargeable pack in it. So
Okay.
I've tried both ways. The double A is good. Double A's just actually seem like it lasts longer than the rechargeable pack. And I get, it's a little misleading because I forget when I'm drifting, a single battery on a car can last me an hour and a half of drifting, probably, sometimes more,
Like
depending
these.
where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I'll go through, many like 6-hour sessions on a set of double A's on a controller. So the controller's on a lot and it's being used hard. So I am sort of skewed. That's what I mean. It's not like it's just dying right away. So I get a lot of life out of them. But compared to like the DX5C, which is a lot more simplified, I'd say I probably, on that radio, I probably get again another at least 50% longer battery life on them.
Oh wow, that's
But
a
the
big
quality
difference.
upgrade versus the battery life is so much better
Yes.
on his new DX5.
Agreed.
Personally, I like the Spectrum line. I hated the line of DX5s. They all felt like they were built in like the cheapest part of Japan. They are
China.
some of the worst quality plastics I've ever felt. And honestly never wanted to upgrade. Like I love my 4. I used his newer 5R and it's really nice. So if you're thinking about upgrading, it's a great radio.
Now they're
You're
on the
thinking about
6R, I
upgrading
think.
and still cheaping out, do not get a 5C. They're garbage.
I mean, I wouldn't say garbage. I used a shit ton out of mine. It just is a different feel to it. It definitely does have a cheaper feel to it, but the new one now is this. I don't know if the 5R, it still might be available. But they also have the 6R out as well. So either of those, fantastic radios. Definitely.
I hate both of my Surface radios.
What do you
I have
have?
the 5C, and it turns itself on if I forget to take the batteries out because the
Yep.
power button's all janked up.
Okay.
Yep, that's a common thing with those.
Yep.
And I sent it in. Horizon looked at it. They sent it back to me and said, "Just push at the bottom of the button when you turn it off." I'm
Wow.
like, "Are you serious?"
Wow.
And
We were
then I have
going-
the DX5 Rugged, the original version of it, where the scroll pad on the back is like damn near impossible to program anything with.
Oh, it takes
Yeah,
it takes a knack
that was
on
a
that with the
cool idea.
capacitive touch. Yes.
Yeah, I can't. It takes me 10 minutes to change models on that thing. I hate it.
Yeah, it used to take me a lot longer till you realize how to finesse it. You just got to learn, you got to learn how to use your fingers, Mike, and how to touch it and how to
Yeah,
stroke it, and
Spin on them first.
how to talk nice and
yeah.
softly to
It almost got touched and broken.
it. Nice.
Almost threw it across the room the other day. I'm like, screw this thing. I just put everything back on my 5C and take the batteries out of it when I'm done.
So we had a 5C. Larry actually had a 5C, and we were on our way. One of the first times we decided to try to go drifting, and it's in the back of my Explorer. We loaded everything in the back, and we're left my house 10 minutes after we leave. We're hearing this deet, 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 deet. We're like, what in the hell is that noise? So we realized his radio turned itself on and then went into that inactivity mode, and it just sat in the back of the car. So there I am along the one major highway. I just pulled off to the side of the road, back of the car, hunting down the radio, trying to get it to shut up and pull a battery out of it. It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
that
I know.
happens all
I
the
always
time.
know when I'll put mine away down in my basement and I'll be sitting there like eating dinner or something, and I'll hear it going beep 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 downstairs.
Yep. The inactivity beep. That's when you know. Let's see here. With helis and cars, whether you personalize, whatever, how many is too many? So we were talking about numbers, how many you have, how many whoever has. So how many do you think, let's say helis, is it a total number? Is there a certain amount that's too many, or are you allowed to have multiples as long as they're different sizes? What do you think if there's a golden rule on that? What do you think it would be?
Personally, within it's what's within your budget. Wow, if I can talk right. If you're going broke to keep 12, 15, 20, whatever the number, if you're going broke to keep that helicopter alive, because you're inevitably going to crash. So if you spend, let's just say, $2,000 on a 700, you better make sure you have $2,500 or $2,800, sitting around before you buy that. That way you have that extra $500 to $800 for a crash fee. If you have two helicopters but are going broke maintaining them, sell one. Only have one. That way you can still have the funds to travel if you want to go to an event. It's never good to run yourself on that ragged of an edge. If you can afford to do 20 helis, no matter the size, no matter the shape, and still travel, I think that's awesome. I just would not go broke trying to maintain that, because I see a lot of people get in the hobby, they're really, really hot, and then immediately get back out because they're like, oh shit, I spent 6 times what I actually thought because I'm crashing so much. So, for some people it could be 2, some people could be 20. The biggest thing is, what are you going to use them for? If you're going out and I'm not knocking anyone or disrespecting anyone in any way, but if you're going out and hovering, you don't need to take 6, 700s and, etc. with you to an event. The ideal amount of helis, like when I go to an event, is 2. So I think you really don't need to own more than that. If you have 2 to 4 to kind of play around with, I think personally for me, plenty. Now I could also make the argument you could have 20 and 1 for every single thing. So you could have a night flight bird. You could have your beater. All right, I'm gonna go out and lay a flight down with Mike, and we're definitely gonna crash this. I have one heli that pretty much every time it goes out, it's going in the dirt, and that was what I flew with Dana. So it is nice to have those helis that you don't care about as much to kind of go, okay, I'm just taking this up. If it crashes, it crashes. But for me, the sweet spot is between like 2 and 4, where you're not going broke, you're not driving yourself crazy. If 1 or 2 crash, you still have more to fly. But if you're a normal person working a normal job, don't go broke, because then you'll sell everything, you'll get out of the hobby, and it's just counterproductive. Yeah, you look like a baller, you're flexing hard, but at what cost? You were only in the hobby a year. And I've seen that happen too much. So I can argue on both sides of it, but don't burn yourself out and buy too much too quick.
I kind of wish
That's
you would
my
have
opinion.
realized a lot of that many years ago. You know that?
Yeah.
Well, I think I have two views on this. The first one is I think it goes in stages. Like when you first get in the hobby, you feel like you have to buy every heli that's out there. And like Aaron was saying, some people don't survive it. They realize how much money they're spending, or their significant other realizes how much money they're spending, and then all of a sudden they're showing up less and less, and their stuff's for sale, and they're out of the hobby, moving on to other things.
Yeah. Going fishing instead, or
Yeah, I think if you can make it past that part of it, then you realize that it's pointless to have that many helicopters, unless you have some kind of connection to them, or you've had them for so long that they don't make sense to sell.
Right.
Then I don't think you need to own more than maybe, I think the sweet spot, like Aaron was saying, was two to four. But I think it's in stage. It depends on what stage of the hobby that you're in.
I agree.
My other view on it is you only need two helicopters, in my personal opinion. You need a Nitro 700.
No.
And then you need an electric 700 for when the Nitro engine is getting new rings and bearings put in it. That's it. That's all you ever need.
Or for every time you go and it won't start, won't stay running.
No, it doesn't happen.
Uh-huh.
Come talk to me. If that's your problem, come talk to me.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I think also to kind of add to your point too, Mike, like a big thing too depends on the age group you're asking and the age group that's listening. Because I'll be honest, if you would have asked me this question when I was 16, my answer would be totally different. When I was flying every day, I was crashing more than what any normal person could keep up with. It was nice looking at it because I didn't think of the financial aspect. Looking at it from that way, it was nice having as many helis as we did because I could crash at a fun fly, go grab another heli, go crash, go grab another heli. But now in my adult, financially responsible brain, I agree much more on the 2 to 4. Because if you're crashing more than 2 to 4 to fun fly, you probably should just stop flying, honestly.
You would have stopped years ago.
I know, and that's why I said depending on what age group you ask.
I know.
Like now, I'm 26, 2 to 4 is perfect. You would ask 16-year-old me, shit, load the whole fleet of 20 up.
That's where it's kind of funny.
Stop flying for the event, not forever.
It's where a lot of people have said to me
meant
about the extra helis that I have, and for one, a good number of them are basically considered retired. They're still flyable; they would fly, but they're at a point where you probably can't get parts for them. Or for me, it's a lot of good memories because, like Aaron said, I've started been flying since I think 2009 or 2010 is when we kind of started in it. And when both of my boys, Aaron and my other son Derek, when they both got into it, they really started getting into it. So I had helis trying for 3 of us to keep going. And then realistically, when we went to events, it was me keeping them flying for the 2 boys. So I had 3 people that I was supplying with helis, and it got expensive. I mean, and I worked a second job for many years to keep that going, which is, some people may consider sad, but I enjoyed it so much that I was willing to put in a little extra work to keep that going, because we went to events and it was so much fun seeing my kids fly and seeing what they did and how much fun they had with it. And unfortunately, the crashes came. So I sort of built up quite a collection from that alone, that's built up over the years. That's why a lot of them I have are, yes, I have a bunch of helis, but they're not all current type stuff. But I would agree with you guys. Probably if I didn't have any of that stuff and was getting into it, 2 to 3 helis would probably be really good,
Yeah.
550, 700, and, maybe something else. Not a nitro. Though.
Then that allows you to, when new stuff comes out, you can sell 1 off or 2 off, and you don't have, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but you don't end up like in a spot you're in where like those helis obviously you're keeping for the sentimental and all that. But if you were a normal person who didn't have sentimental value attached to it, I mean, I can think off the top of my head, you have a 600X, not going to get shit for. My T-Rex 600 DFC, amazing helicopter, and that has more sentimental to me than, probably my firstborn kid. But I wouldn't get shit for it. I'd be lucky maybe to get $150 for it if I'm, on a good day. So I think having the less helis, as someone who's deep into it, then when the new Goblin comes out, it's an easier pill to swallow to upgrade to that, because you're not looking at a wall full of old shit, basically, that is either useless or you can't sell.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, my rule is if I'm buying something new, something has to go. So that's why, like, you guys always, crack jokes about me selling stuff and buying stuff all the time. But if I'm buying, like, if I'm gonna buy a new helicopter, then one's gotta go to keep the ratio where I like to have it.
Oh, and you're good at that. You're definitely good at that. It's just funny sometimes when you rotate through them. It's funny to bust your ass about it,
Oh yeah, I fully expect it.
We just like giving you shit.
But to me, I mean, it doesn't make financial sense by any means, because typically you're going to lose some money on swapping. You buy it at full retail, you're not going to sell it at full retail. I do buy a lot of my stuff used, so I could try to recoup most of what I spent on it when I do go to sell it.
Yeah.
But it also keeps you from getting in a situation where you have 10 helicopters that are obsolete, or you know what I mean, you go to try to sell it and nobody's interested because the company's no longer around making parts, anything like that. So
Yeah.
it kind of helps you stay with current models, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
If
definitely.
you're constantly kind of rotating through them.
I agree with that 110%. Plus, it makes it easier when you're going to go to an event. You're not going, oh, what am I going to take? What should I have? What's
Yeah.
flying? What do I need parts for? All that sort of stuff as well. Speaking of events, event season's coming. Everybody's going to fun flies. Everybody wants to get out there, fly, have a good time. Everybody wants to watch, the latest and greatest, who's flying, what pro is flying, what they're doing. So I think we covered this before in the past, but it's one of those things that it's just it kind of keeps coming up, especially this time of year. What if each of you had to pick one thing that's like a pet peeve from when you go to a major event or a bigger fun fly? What would it be? We'll start with you, Aaron.
Off the top of my head, and we talked about this with Bert a lot. Was the and we've talked about this several times, but I commended Bert greatly for the safety aspect, and that's a huge pet peeve at a lot of events. And I'm not a lame square. I mean, I get it. You're gonna fly close. You're gonna do the dumb shit to impress people, but only put yourself in danger. And even at that, that's still a huge pet peeve. Just be smart and use safety. Like I loved, and I can't commend him enough, Bert, for calling out a couple people to land. Um, when they were becoming unsafe, and I think that should be a much more like accepted thing at fun flies. That's a huge pet peeve of mine, is people not getting called out for bullshit flying. When someone's trying to outfly their actual skill level, it's very obvious to see, and it's a very sketchy thing to see. So I think pet peeve is people not being called out enough. Is if you're that's fine if you want to go out and practice pyro flips, go 100 feet up and 100 or 200 feet out. Nobody wants to go to an event and, even if you make the argument, oh, it's just myself I'm putting in danger. There's people there with kids. I don't want to see you hit yourself with a helicopter. We don't want to see blood. We don't want to see the dumb shit. Keep your fucking helicopter away from you and just be safe. There's no need to do, 100-mile-an-hour loops trying to trim your mustache. Just keep it the fuck out. Like I said, there's a lot of young kids. I myself was one of them at the events who look up to a lot of the flying styles and are newer into the hobby. Don't show them the shit, the dumb shit. Be smart, especially if you're a sponsored pilot. Just use safety. And if you're not, expect to be called the fuck out because you deserve it.
All right, Mike.
Uh, yeah, I would say safety is probably one of the biggest pet peeves that I would have. But to try to bring something else to the topic, I'm trying to think of one that we haven't really discussed yet, and we may have talked about it, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to bring it up anyways. One that really bugs me is when people go to fun flies and they bring a generator. There's not always power available at the field. Please don't go buy the $200 Harbor Freight generator and fire it up in the pits and make everybody listen to that thing. The RC community is full of nice people, and most of them, I would say the majority of them, are not going to go ask you to shut it off just because that's not the kind of people they are. But just know that you are really aggravating everybody around you when you have that thing screaming. If you don't have a generator, ask them. People would be more than happy to let you plug into theirs or figure out a way to get you charged up and get you going without having to listen to that noisy generator.
Or if you have that noisy generator, just a really long extension cord and find a place to put that thing out of the way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Stick
there
it
are
out.
ways to kind of shield it, and
Yeah, put a couple cars in between it or something.
Yep.
Just try to keep it out where it's not running right under your canopy and you can't even hear yourself think.
Yeah, I agree. That would definitely that goes for like car racing too. When you go to some of the racetracks, if they don't have power, same deal with that with the generators.
Yeah, and if you're confused about like what generator to get, you want to get an inverting generator. Anything that is an inverter generator is going to be quiet.
Yeah.
If you're looking at them and they just say generator and they don't say inverter generator, they're going to be noisy as hell.
Yep.
In most cases, the inverter generator, unfortunately, are a little more expensive. But if you're flying $2,000 helicopters around, you need to make sure that you can invest into, a $600-700 generator to keep your $2,000 helicopter flying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one.
I agree. Yeah. What about you?
It's kind of basic, and I probably said this one before. You guys hit all the safety stuff. For me, it's when you go, and I'm probably going to catch some shit for this because I'm about to probably call them out on it. When you go to an event and that sponsored pilot goes out to fly, it's great if they're a teammate, but support them from back further. When that teammate goes out to fly, 20 or 30 teammates should not be up their ass on the flight line to just be there flying with them, either looking for a photo op or just saying they're supportive teammates. And unfortunately, I am going to call out SAB on this one. And this is nothing to do personally with anyone, but I've been at events where, Kyle Stacy goes out to fly, who is just fucking amazing. He is talented in every sort of way, in his creativity, in his flying style. The dude is on point, and he is impressive as hell to watch.
One of the best pilots, debatably. Yeah.
Yes. At an event, there are a lot of people who are spectating who want to see what he can do. They want to see the guy who's flying, and they want to see this heli flying. He does a lot of really in-close maneuvers on the deck shit that makes you go ooh and ah. When you have 20 people spread out there to be right up their ass, those people can't see the on-the-ground type stuff. Support your teammate from back along where everyone else is. Let one other person be their spotter to be out with them and support them from back further. Allow everyone to enjoy that flight the same as what everyone else can. They can all see it equally. You don't have to be out there for anything. You're not proving anything to say, I'm standing with one of the best pilots in the world. It doesn't do any good. It really doesn't.
For your 20 likes on Facebook.
A lot of the people don't realize a lot of the other pilots are making fun of them for being out there, to be perfectly honest. So just let the Ben Storicks, the Kyle Stacys, let them go do their thing and back off and enjoy them from back and applaud them. And when they're done flying, then go to your teammate and congratulate them on a kick-ass flight, because they do. They're amazing pilots, and let's let everyone enjoy it. Let's let all the guys who are traveling 600, 800 miles to get to that event, see that person fly firsthand. So over the years, that's always kind of been one of my pet peeves between IRCHA, other events. And they're not the only ones who do it. They're probably just the biggest offenders. So like I said, I know I'm probably going to catch hate from it, but that's probably my biggest pet peeve from events.
No, I agree 100%. I think if you're going out, it's okay if you have even 2-3 people with you, because I get it. I've already walked out, 2 of us, where me and another guy are talking shit to the pilot, and maybe we'll have a media guy, someone recording. If you walk out 2, 3, maybe even 4, that's fine. But literally, 15, 20 guys, you all respectfully look like the water boys of the team, because you're just like, yeah, it's not me, it's you. I'm just going to stand here and do everything for you. Oh, you landed. Let me go get your heli. It's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, you did the ribbon contest. All right, we're all going to go collect up all your trash. All right.
Yeah. Kind of.
Shit like that it kind of looks sad. You do look like the water boy of the team, and it's okay. It's weird. It's just weird.
It is. And that's why I said, I know anybody listen to this, and I know most of the guys, and I'm friends with most of them who do it, but and you can feel free to give me shit for it. That's fine.
We'll
anybody
throw
knows
hands
me
at
knows
event.
That's perfectly fine to do that, but I'm gonna.
If you disagree with anything said here, we will fight on site.
Yeah. Just know that if you want to disagree, I'm about to throw down. So
catch me a couple twisted tees deep. Godspeed, my friend. Whoever. Godspeed.
It's freaking ridiculous. So actually, along the lines of events,
better bring your blicky.
bring the what?
Your blicky.
Yeah.
I don't know. All the young kids that we have work for us, they teach me all this new language I'm learning.
I don't know what the hell that is, and I don't know if I want to know what it is.
Yeah, I won't be telling anyone at an event I'll be bringing the blicky. I ain't making threats like that. Anyone at an event, I don't have a blicky on me. Hands only.
Okay, what the hell's a blicky?
Blicky? Is this going on YouTube? Bob. I don't know if I can say it. It's a GUN.
Oh, okay.
You got no Riz?
So that's just okay. If you're going to be calling that, if you're going to be saying, if you're carrying a piece around and you're going to call it a blicky, then that blicky needs to be taken from you and shoved up your ass, because you don't deserve to be carrying it. Because
you don't want to carry the switch? Come on.
If you can't call it for what it is, you shouldn't be carrying it.
You got to stay strapped, dog.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm an old man. We call it what it is. I carry my piece, and that's it. Anyway, so on the subject of events, um,
Shit.
and affairs and current affairs in the world and everything else. You guys have seen probably one of the biggest events, or one of the big events in the world that's no longer going to happen, is Global 3D, and that was basically a European event. I think they used to use it for like maybe European ranking. I don't know if it used for any world ranking, but and this event's no longer going to happen due to lack of sponsorships, lack of support, and not really sure what all else. But I mean, what do you guys make of that? What do you think of it?
Well, I'm kind of curious on whether they mean just like for this year, and then they're going to revisit it next year, or if that's it, throwing the towel in, and that's a wrap. You
I
know what I
don't
mean?
I don't know. I mean, it's
Um,
hard to say, but it looked like what I seen. It almost made it sound like that was a wrap. They're done. I could
yeah,
be wrong.
I didn't see the post in person. I just hear it, through people talking about it. And I seen a couple jokes about people trying to sell their tickets
I saw that.
on Facebook.
Yeah, I did see that.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, if that's the case where it's done and gone, I mean that's a sad day for the hobby, you know. Unfortunately, I think we're probably going to see a little bit more of that stuff because, I mean, let's be honest, there is not much support for our hobby other than like a couple core companies. Now whether that's a lack of like people marketing stuff, if you go to, I don't know, we'll have a like our work will have a golf outing or something, and they'll have a Ford dealership there. We'll have a Ford pickup truck or a Chevy dealership or whatever. We'll have a pickup truck parked there. You can win this truck, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's You don't see anything for our events marketed outside of the heli hobby.
Yeah,
And the heli hobby is so small and such a niche thing. I think it's only going to get worse unless people start to expand and drag other things into it. Like for example, we had our club meeting last night, and we were talking about ways that we can try to get more memberships and stuff like that, get younger people involved. And we're talking about possibly setting up a booth at like local car shows and pass out flyers, put on static displays. Nobody really does that stuff anymore.
yeah,
I mean, when I first joined our club, they used to go out to our local mall and set up a couple times a year, and they would have simulators and all kind of stuff and hand out flyers, and we would have a whole surge of new members, people that wanted to get their kids involved, and they would end up buying memberships for them and their kids and their grandparents or whatever, just to have something to do as a family. But I think society is getting very lazy,
no,
and I think these are the
absolutely.
effects of that.
Yep. Well, I mean, and how many
Unfortunately,
people go to the mall anymore?
right?
I
I mean,
agree.
I,
That's part. I was used to belong to a club years ago that did that same thing. They went to the mall. They would set up for certain shows. They would go to different
Hmm.
places, and it just became, well, the mall closed down and has been ripped down. That's not there anymore. All kinds of
uh,
different shit that they just did and unfortunately don't do anymore.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
yeah, it's definitely not in people's faces enough because I mean, even I'm 26, and a lot of people I know, they'll look and, oh wow, you fly remote control helicopters. Oh, those are cool. Like everyone's seen an RC heli, but they haven't seen to the level of what some people fly.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think changing people's perspectives on that is good if there was more like, yeah, like mall events, or even if you pop out to your local Cars and Coffee and you set up a little tent. The problem is for a lot of these groups is because I mean I know we used to do some of that with the hobby shop I used to work at, and at that point, that was my job. But as someone who they have a day job, they just want to go to the field on the weekend and fly. That's a lot of work. It really is to even set up a little stand. People always have questions. It's not like you just answer a couple questions and you go about your day flying and demoing. If you're there demoing or showing anything, you're answering questions all day. Just about little stuff. But to kind of go back anyway to what we were talking about the global 3D, I think a big reason of a lot of that going away is look at even IRCHA this past year. I know we talked about it several times. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I remember back in the day when there were the sponsors. Horizon was, I think, like the platinum or whatever the big one is. Then there was Experience RC, Align, Mikado. I can think of five or six, and I realized there was a lot more, but there was five or six of the staple brands. I think the problem is anymore we don't have those staple brands around anymore to back the hobby. Align, huge one. Every event you went to, Align was a primary sponsor, and they were funding the event. Look at old 3D Masters videos. I mean, old just um, old throwdowns, a lot of them were sponsored by Align. A lot of them were put on by, oh my God, Avant. There was a lot more bigger spenders in the hobby. Now, really, the only big, I would say, mainstream brand is like an SAB. A company like Steam is not going to go sponsor Global Masters, or a company like Gooski may not go do that because they don't have the overhead and the capital to go sponsor an event like a Line did. So I think that's a big reason we're seeing some of these events go away, or even change, is just because the financial backing from the sponsors isn't there. I mean, I know what they had said in prior years that Horizon used to pay to be that platinum sponsor. I mean, it was a disgusting amount. And I just don't think a lot of these heli companies have that financial backing, because instead of these big mainstream companies, you just have a lot lesser, I don't want to say mom and pop, but smaller, less mainstream brands like your Steams, like your Gooskies, like your, that sort of thing. So just
Well,
my
not only
two cents.
that, but you're reaching into those, those smaller brands to be now your premier sponsors, but
Right.
you still have the cost of sponsoring that is still the cost that you would charge like a giant company like a Line, who could afford to pay that and not worry about it. Like BK Hobbies isn't going to go be a premier sponsor and spend $12,000 on an event. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense business wise to spend that kind of money when you're never going to get anywhere near that return on that
Right.
Yeah.
just from having that event. So, I mean, if you're going to have the smaller guys as your, now your premier sponsors for these events, the costs of being that sponsor need to change.
Yeah. Or find other ways. Like maybe if the sponsorship's not there, maybe you charge some type of entry fee for the people to get in, and
Yeah.
then you have that money coming in to be able to keep that event going. If it's
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
it's
it's
if
tough.
it's a competition type event where you don't have the pilots actually paying to be there, like it's not just a regular fun fly, so maybe you have, okay, this is a big where we're going to have the world's best in here, or a lot of really good pilots. Maybe people are willing to pay $10 or $15 to come in, for the day, day pass or something, to watch for all day or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that answer would be. Maybe they do overseas. That I don't know.
Well, I could tell you from experience that, even at a small RC club level, I'm typically the CD for all our events that our club does, and it is very, very hard to get people to do anything. I mean, even sell, cook hamburgers to raise money for the club, or sell raffle tickets or something. It's almost impossible to get people to actually help anymore these days, and it just, I don't know. I couldn't imagine trying to do an event like Urcha or like Global 3D,
It's a
and
lot of
what it
work.
takes to actually make it a successful event and make money on it.
Yeah.
Any
I mean, all
event.
that time, even, oh, I'm sorry, God.
I was just gonna say, any event is a royal pain in the ass to put on, and anybody who has never done it, I suggest you volunteer to try to do it, so you better understand, because I know a lot of guys that go complaining about events are ones who have never tried to set them up themselves.
Yeah.
It is difficult to do. It's time consuming to do, and usually the people setting them up make all the sacrifices and then can't enjoy the event itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, same with a lot of the companies. When you expect a company to be at your fun fly, let's use Align as an example. I know they're, pretty much done, but Align, they have to pay a fee for whatever sponsor tent there is. And then a lot of people go, oh, well, they can make that back with selling their kits. What a huge misconception in the hobby is, if, someone sells a, let's say, $800 kit, they're making $600 on that. And I don't think people realize how small hobby margins are. That, and don't quote me on this, but I percentages, anything. But if you're selling an $800 kit, the hobby shop that's selling it, or the manufacturer that's selling it, might have $700 tied up into it, or 740, or maybe profit only might be $60 for that kit, or $100 for that kit. If the tent sponsorship, the sponsored tent to be there, let's say, is 5-6 grand, you have to sell a shit ton of kits to even break even. And that's where I think like a company like Experience RC back in the day of Urcha, they could do that, because then they were the go-to place. They were selling kits left and right, parts left and right. I mean, they were the go-to place. Now, if a company goes to a fun fly and only sells, and I mean only being generous, if you only sell 30 kits, that's not that much profit, and the company really isn't making a lot that the general consumer thinks, oh wow, you sold 30 $800 kits, you must be rolling in it, and it's not quite the same. So it makes it harder for a lot of these companies, like again, like I'm not picking on Steam, but I'm using them as an example. Like a company like Steam to give away product for a raffle, to have their sponsor booth, and to have pilots there to either pay them, give them some sort of product in reimbursement. It's expensive for these companies, and you don't really typically reimburse a lot of it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and I think overall, like a good margin for a hobby company. And I'm not a hobby company owner, but I've been in the hobby for quite a while, and it seems like 30% is a very good margin for them to make money on. So if you're selling a kit and you're applying your 20% discount code that you got from whatever email they sent you or whatever, that they're only making 10% on that kit, which isn't nothing. And like Aaron said, selling 30 kits isn't going to cover the money that they invest into giving away all this product. Not only that, but I would bet money that Urcha, being the biggest fun fly in the United States, is not selling 30 kits from one vendor. I would be surprised if they sell 30 kits with all combined vendors throughout that weekend.
Yeah.
To be realistic.
Maybe once upon a time.
These days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, they probably were. Yeah, they were probably hammering through them, but now anymore, no.
Yeah, I mean, how many people do you know went to Urcha and bought a new kit at Urcha? I don't think I can think of any this year.
I can't think of any, no, not at all.
I mean, parts crashing and stuff and getting parts, but I mean, I don't know anybody that bought a new kit at Urcha this last year. So
Aaron almost did.
Aaron almost did.
Yeah, he was out hunting. He was looking.
I almost did. Then I realized it was end of the season and probably one of the worst times to be buying it. I'd sit on it all year.
It's never a bad time. Come on.
Well, when you live in a small apartment, you already have enough car parts and storage. And
listen to your dad; he knows best.
That's right. Bye.
Because I don't live with him anymore. He doesn't have to deal with my stuff.
I don't have to deal with your stuff?
You don't have to deal with all helis and extra car parts and all that shit. If I had a room, trust me, I'd have a ton.
I was just gonna say I have all your stuff here.
Heli wise, yeah, I got a lot of car parts.
Well, yeah, I don't have all that stuff. Alrighty. So I do have a question for you yet, Mike. Going back, you said about the clubs setting up, setting up at like Ford dealers and stuff. So at those Ford dealers, do the transmissions work in the trucks? I'm just curious. Or is that too soon?
Funny man.
I know. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Man. Inside joke. Maybe we'll explain one day. All right. And on that note, do you guys have anything you'd like to add to our plethora of bullshit that we've covered tonight?
I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was pretty good. It was a good range of everything here.
Yeah.
What do you think, Aaron? You got anything?
I agree. I think we touched on a lot. I've rehashed some stuff that I don't mean to beat a dead horse on, but I feel like some of it just kind of has to be said in conversation.
Agreed.
If you have watched prior podcasts, we appreciate that. But if you haven't, I'll always bring certain things up for context. That way, you're not completely out of the loop. So we're beating
mostly my ugly helicopters is what he brings up.
Actually, I'd be more impressed if you were able to watch the podcast, because pretty much all the ones we've done, they're all you listen to them. But if you want to watch,
what? I do have something I need to talk about.
You can stare at the FP logo if you watch it on YouTube, but Sorry.
I do have something I want to add.
Here we go.
So the Operation Promoto story.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was on sale the last week.
Yeah.
And none of you fuckers texted me to tell me that. And I missed the sale, or else I would have had one.
You wouldn't have bought one.
I totally would have, because I've been on the fence in and out of my cart since we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I just I can't justify spending that much.
So here's
the deal. It was like almost $100 off.
Yeah, I know. I almost did text you, but then I thought about it and I went, if I text him, he's going to buy one. That adds the pressure for me to have to buy one. I didn't want to buy one. So if you didn't buy one, it made it easier for me not to buy one. Does that make sense?
I don't like that logic.
I love that logic. I think it's great.
You guys can buy them. I'll mess with them. But I will not be buying one.
So translation is, you guys buy them, I'll fuck them up.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah. That's what I do best.
Yeah, yeah. After a couple twisteds, he'll be like, "I can ride it. Give it here."
Yeah. Strap them to my shoes like roller skates. Let's go.
Yeah, there we go. That'd be funny shit.
Light enough. We could probably make it work.
Yep.
Yeah, I was a little bummed to find out I missed the sale.
Yeah, you got plenty of time to make something happen again.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll go on sale again.
It's all good. Yeah, you'll get one. Well, guys, thank you very much for sitting in there with us tonight and going through all kinds of goodness. We appreciate it. Also, anybody that wants to get any merch to show their appreciation, you can go to bonfire.com, search Full Package RC, or a link will be in the description for the show here, giving you access to our full store. Anything you get there always helps go towards supporting the show. We greatly appreciate that. Also, any questions, comments, anything you'd like, you can email us at fullpackagerc@gmail.com. Since we've pretty much covered everything and I think we're all good to go, I think on that note, we are going to be signing off. So I thank you guys for being here. And that's about it. We'll see you guys in the next one. I think I got a guest lined up that's going to be something a little different, but should be very insightful, very informative. Should be a pretty good one for next one. So we'll see you guys in the next one.
Sweet. See ya.
See you guys.